The latest on the search for 11 missing crewmen.
A massive explosion lit up the sky.
On this edition of Saving American Energy, how does an industry recover after one of the biggest disasters in its history? We meet the people of Trendsetter who changed everything with their capping stack. Today, they are the world leader in subsea well control technology.
We need to save American energy.
Growing up in the energy capital of the world, Houston, Texas, I learned the value of hard work. I also learned that without the grit of Americans working every day to provide us with energy, the lights will go out. We are fighting to make sure that that never happens. I'm Wesley Hunt, and I'm running for Congress to restore, defend, and preserve American energy independence. But I can't do it alone. That's why I'm traveling the country in search of the brave, patriotic, and innovative leaders that power our lives. I want to tell their stories and change the conversation from energy transition to energy addition. Together, we're saving American energy. Our next stop on Saving American Energy is the greatest city in the world, Houston, Texas. Railroads, Space City, and the energy capital of the world. No one does innovation like Houston. And Houston is the home of our next featured company, Trendsetter.
I'm Wesley Hunt, right here in my own backyard, Congressional District 38, here at Trendsetter. And through private innovation, do you know what they're doing? They're saving American energy.
First, we'll meet with Mike and Mario of Trendsetter as they introduce us to the story of this engineering company and how they have successfully impacted American energy. Their capping stack technology has made it safer than ever to drill offshore.
Trendsetter Engineering it's a privately owned company based out of Houston, Texas. If you kind of roll back the hands of time in our history, we started out as a engineering support company, third person kind of technical support to oil and gas.
What Trendsetter is a very special company. We're a problem-solving company.
Yeah.
We have 160 employees and we have 30 acres here in Houston. And we're one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city of Houston.
The impetus for Trendsetter in the form that we know it was really the BP Macondo incident. So in 2010, BP was drilling an offshore oil well here in the U.S. Gulf of Mexico, and they had an unfortunate incident that resulted in loss of life as well as pretty large environmental impacts here when we lost control of the BP Macondo well.
Latest on the search for 11 missing crewmen from a spectacular oil rig explosion in the Gulf of Mexico.
Nearly 100 survivors of the Deepwater Horizon oil rig explosion arrived at Port Fourchon, Louisiana early this morning, reuniting worried relatives with their loved ones. Their ordeal started around 10 p.m. Tuesday, 50 miles south of Louisiana. A massive explosion lit up the sky. 126 workers were doing routine drilling on the oil platform before it was engulfed by smoke and flame.
We were known to solve problems worldwide, regardless of sea, using robotics to solve problems. So when the capping stack needed to be built, it was going to take 4 years to build it. And the Gulf of Mexico was shut down because of the Obama mandate to have a safe way to do it.
Yes.
So we built the first capping stack here in Houston in 7.5 weeks.
Wow.
And at that time, the industry really didn't have not just the hardware, but an understanding of what it takes to control a subsea blowout. Yep. So although well control has been around for over 100 years in our industry, and we've made great strides to protect the environment and to control these wells, what happened at Macondo was something that we really weren't prepared for. And in 2011, Trendsetter was awarded a contract with the first not-for-profit consortium here that was put together by all the major oil and gas companies. It was called Marine Well Containment Company, or MWCC. We were awarded the first post-Macondo contract to design and build a dedicated subsea well control package, or capping stack. So Trendsetter, in a matter of just a few months, was able to provide a system to allow the industry to get back to subsea drilling operations and again, enable our energy independence in offshore operations by designing and delivering this capping stack system.
A capping stack is a device that will be used whenever there's an incident, a blowout. The drilling system has already preventive equipment like blowout preventers, subsea.
Yes.
So that in case you lose control of the well, you can shut off, cut anything in the hole, shut off the flow. But in case that was to fail, even though there's multiple levels of redundancy with the yellow and the blue pod, and
Yes.
we have a way to re-enter the well, stop the flow, and allow a relief well to be drilled and shut it down.
We really have become kind of the world leader when it comes to subsea well control technologies. So as of today, Trendsetter has capping stacks that represent somewhere probably in the neighborhood of 80 to 90% of the subsea wells that are drilled that have capping stack technology listed for a subsea well control event. So we've got capping stacks that are located here in the domestic U.S. Gulf of Mexico. Both are with not-for-profit consortiums here. One is MWCC, the other is HWCG. We also provide high-spec capping stack systems that are staged in Saldanha, South Africa, Singapore, Norway, and Brazil. In addition, we've provided these services, this equipment in the U.S. Arctic, so in the Chukchi and the Beaufort Seas, as well as in the Russian Arctic in previous years.
Now that we have a better idea of what Trendsetter does, let's look at where and how this technology is built, right here in the heart of Houston, Texas. VP of Projects, Tony Matson, gives us the tour.
This is our in-house machine shop. So again, we talk about domestic, local manufacturing to Houston. A lot of our OEM product for subsea connection systems, we machine right here. So all the stuff that typically now is being done overseas by a lot of our competitors or a lot of other companies in the industry, we're doing right here in-house at Trendsetter. Lathes, CNC milling operations. We're actually working right now with a couple of local colleges, bringing in apprentices, trying to grow and develop that local talent here in Houston.
Excellent.
Really build skills and make sure that we don't lose, this capability and this knowledge base here in Houston. Because
How many jobs do you provide in this shop alone?
overall, in this shop, we're about 160 people total here at Trendsetter. In terms of technical jobs, engineering, technicians, and machinists, that's going to be over half of our employee base.
Excellent.
80 to 90 people in technical jobs.
This is also something that, like the opportunity that you're providing, the diversity in the industry, the technical expertise of what we're just seeing right here is remarkable.
That's true.
Is the American dream. Like, we're sitting in it.
We've got young engineering graduates. We've got folks working technician roles, machinist roles. I mean, these are good, technical, high-paying jobs.
Yes.
And I think it's unfortunate that a lot of folks don't understand that about our industry. That this is the real part of the industry.
Speaking of the real part of the industry, Mario gets real with us about how oil and gas lifts millions from poverty, and Mike discusses the true environmental impact of producing oil.
I don't mind talking about my background. Yeah, I was born in poverty in Laredo, Texas.
Yeah.
And I learned the importance of hard work, perseverance, and a good education. So when I graduated from college, I decided to make the oil industry, and the offshore oil industry to be precise, my career.
Yeah.
And that has been very good, not only for my family, but for everybody. The oil industry has raised millions of people out of poverty. Not only the folks that produce the product, but also like Norway, for example.
Yeah.
I went to Norway to live in Norway in 1983. And they went up from a standard of living that I recognized at that time to a very, very high standard of living now.
Yes.
But all the way across, from West Africa, Angola, Ghana, Petrobras, they would be in a lot worse shape if it wasn't for the oil industry.
Everything that the oil and gas industry does when it comes to emergency response, preparedness, and actual well control response, it's not subsidized in any way, shape, or form by the federal government. So it is all self-funded. I think a lot of people look at the oil and gas industry as kind of the dirty side of our business, but I'll be very honest with you, we're probably the most environmentally friendly, conscious industry that exists. So for me, we do things and we spend literally hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars per year, not just in the U.S., but also internationally, to make sure not only are we prepared to respond should an incident happen, but more importantly, to prevent the incident from happening itself.
Yeah.
So if you travel to an offshore oil and gas installation, whether it's the U.S. Gulf of Mexico, it's Mobile Bay, even international, and you step foot on that platform, the first thing you're going to do is to have to go through an onboarding process where they talk about not just safety, but more importantly also the environmental side. So I've been on offshore facilities where if you literally drop something over the side as small as a nut, if somebody wants to throw a drink off the side of the vessel, it gets reported as an environmental impact. Yeah. Well, I'll sit on the same rig and look over the side of that vessel and watch a shrimp boat or a commercial fisherman come by, and they'll pump their bilge, discharging oily water into the ocean and creating a sheen. So everything we do, again, is based around being able to provide energy to us because, look, me and my family, I love driving my vehicle. I love having power in my house. I love having an air conditioner. But you know what else I love? I love taking my kids on a hunting trip or a fishing trip or a camping trip or going and hiking. So while I'm very passionate about my industry, I'm also very passionate about the environment we live in. And it frustrates me a lot because I think there is a very much, not just in the United States, not just in one area, I think there's a lack of understanding of how much we do when it comes to the positives for the environment. If you look at the footprint of an oil and gas well, when we're done drilling an oil well, drilling, producing, we plug that well and we leave, you have, at the end of the day, in most cases, you have a zero impact on the environment. The ground is fully rectified. You can walk over it with your family and you would never know an oil and gas well was there. You can look at a cluster of oil and gas wells. We could have 50 oil wells in a certain area. It all ties back into a single pipeline. There are thousands and thousands of pipelines strewn not only across the Gulf of Mexico and the United States. You don't see them, because a pipeline is small, they're monitored, they run through the middle of a forest, and you can be hiking, you're walking right over one, you don't see it. Now, if you turn around and you go and you look at a wind farm, you turn around and you go and you look at solar, it makes a huge scar on the Earth's surface. And it changes not just the way it looks, it changes the entire ecosystem in that area. So while I do believe in alternative energy, I think that we need to be realistic in our approach. And you can't have a switch that turns on and off when it comes to hydrocarbon dependencies. It has to be a very rational conversation we have and figure out how we are better steward of our resources. Yes. We're always going to need oil and gas. We need to be able to find it, drill it, and utilize it in an environmentally friendly manner, while we're at the same time looking at how do we reduce the dependency on hydrocarbon. The whole concept of hydrocarbon elimination overnight, it's a farce. It's spun up by the other side to create panic and havoc. End of game.
Space City, in the energy capital of the world. Ideas, innovation, and technology that transforms the world. And no one embodies this more than Trendsetter. They are helping to power our world and making it safer to do than ever. And Trendsetter has done more than just create an industry-changing piece of tech. They're creating opportunities for hard-working Texans. The oil and gas industry are worth saving. Our energy independence is worth restoring. But don't just take my word for it.
We need to save American energy.